No, it wasn't intimidating. It was very exciting. I'd sort of been looking forward to joining them all down there because I knew they'd already begun shooting the movie. So it was a long time coming. I'd been waiting a while before I was able to get to New Zealand. And you arrive there and everybody welcomes you at the airport, and you get settled in. And I landed, and within a few hours I was already being fitted with costumes and hair and makeup tests and meeting Peter and Fran and Philippa, and there was a lot to do, a huge amount of rehearsal and prep and fight sequences and archery lessons and all that stuff. So no, it was a very exciting thing. It was like joining a big family, basically.
Well, that was my next question. Was everyone was as welcoming as we're led to believe?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't have any awful stories to tell you. There was no one that was horrible or not part of the gang. Everybody was very warm, and you feel very much like you're joining a very big family. Everybody's very warm and welcoming, and Stone Street Studios is just it's like a bit of a Disneyland. You hear all about it, and then you arrive and it looks just like you think it does in your imagination.
Probably the final third of the film for the dwarves, and the reason that it was grueling, apart from the physicality of it, lots of pieces and stunts put together, but none of it existed. It was a green box, so it was a lot of imagination, and I think Pete was inventing it on a daily basis because it was towards the end of the shoot, so he'd come in with a new idea. But really challenging but fulfilling at the same time, because when you see the final cut and you see how well it fits together, I'm very happy about that.
Do you forgive Peter in that sense of always changing up every day, or is it quite hard to get your head around it?
There's nothing better than that, because you come in and you just don't know what to expect, so you can't really plan. You can have a rough idea of, we're fighting the dragon over the next 3 weeks, and every day there'd be a new piece that he'd invented overnight because he'd had this vision or a dream of something. I'm going to get them to do this, and it ends up in the picture. Like that whole sequence of Thorin and the wheelbarrow that becomes like a kind of surfboard for him to float on the molten gold was like a thing he had a vision the night before. You know what? It was probably, yes, it was the lowest moment. When the fish were finally poured in, it was very kind of muffled, but I just could hear Peter chuckling over the what's known as the voice of God. So yeah, he took a lot of pleasure out of that.
Those fish, unfortunately, as big a budget as this movie was, they didn't buy fresh fish every time we shot the scene, and that scene took quite a few weeks to shoot. So at the end of the day, those fish would just be put in chilled cup boxes and kept cold until the next time. So by the final take of that scene with those real fish, the stench from them and the dwarves was quite unpleasant. Very much so. I mean, obviously we shared a trailer, makeup trailer, and Aidan and Dean and there was a few others, John and Peter and Richard and Jed were all had their prosthetic hair and makeup put on in my trailer. So I got to see it every morning, but often they would already be there by the time I arrived, and I'd sit in the chair and have all my hair and makeup done, and then I'd leave and they'd still be there. So I have the utmost respect for them and their patience. I admire them a lot for coping with it in such a admirable way, because it was intense. It wasn't just the faces, it was heads and prosthetics and fat suits, and they sat in those and worked in those 12, 15 hours a day, so I never complained.
No, and it's one of those things that we've read the book since I was 7 years old, but the dragon's been in existence since the late 30s, and to see something finally on screen, speaking in that way, and the sort of psychotic nature of a beast that's physically terrifying, but also, emotionally terrifying, is really exciting. The fact that it's beautiful as well is surprising. So it's a bit of everything, isn't it?
Did Benedict do a good job in your eyes of bringing that ferocity to life.
I think that his Smaug will be as iconic as Andy Serkis' Gollum.